Now at 9, 2 people are killed in a crash in Newton County. Plus, how a Pittsburgh-based company is taking part in National Manufacturing Day. And we'll check out the kickoff of Columbus Day and all of its festivities.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Elise Snowe. A head-on collision in Newton County turns fatal. Authorities received reports of the two-vehicle crash last night on State Route Y, just north of Quince Road. Troopers report both drivers involved in the incident, Harold Slatton of Neosho, Missouri, and Ronald Swem of Seneca, Missouri, died in the collision. A woman is claiming that a transgender employee was peeking over her dressing room at the retail store Kohl's yesterday. According to the Joplin Police Department, the woman, Natalia Burleson, says she then saw a, quote, male employee in a dress who was peeking over the dressing room door at her. According to Burleson, she confronted the employee and then contacted the manager, who said the employee would be temporarily moved. However, Burleson did not believe the manager. Burleson says she then contacted the police out of concern for her privacy, regardless of the person's gender.
I was very disappointed that the manager doesn't have concern that this man is looking in my dressing room. Whether it's a woman or a man, no one should be looking into the dressing room of someone who is in a compromised position changing clothes. That is not a reasonable expectation of privacy.
Burleson did not wish to pursue charges. We have reached out to Kohl's for a statement, and they have not provided one at this time. Meteorologist Sam Lane joins us for a first look at weather.
All right, we've had a beautiful day across the 4 states with temperatures in the 70s for the high. That was at noon, and then 40s since then, and the records are 90 and 33. At least we're behind on the rainfall for the year still at this time. Temperatures are starting to get very chilly. Lower 40s in many places, like 41 in Parsons, 40 in Neodesha, 45 in Neosho with those light northwesterly winds. And those winds are going to be dying down as we go through the overnight hours. This afternoon they were gusting up quite a bit, but now they're starting to become calm across the area with lots of clear skies. That means the temperature is going to fall like a rock as we head through the overnight. Right now it feels like in the lower 40s up to the north, like in Iola with 41, same thing in Parsons and Neodesha. So we're already starting to talk about the wind chill as we start to see temperatures in the 30s by tomorrow morning. With a low of 37, that's enough to be frosty out there. And the forecast for this weekend, if you're heading out to the Balloon Festival tomorrow morning, it's going to be quite chilly, 37 degrees with some frost around. Then in the afternoon, 62, and then Sunday looking pretty good at 71. I'll have details on the forecast coming up in just a little bit.
Thanks, Sam. The Miami War Dogs are getting into the community spirit. It's homecoming week there, so they celebrated with a parade from Main Street to the football stadium. It was capped off by a pep rally. Officials say it's not only a way to get the school fired up, but the community as well.
Dogs on top! It's dogs! Go War Dogs! Wow!
It's pretty special. It's pretty awesome to have this unity that we have in this community and to see things grow and see things, happen. And, when you have pride in your local sports team, something to rally around, it really brings people together.
Miami faces Skytook tonight. You can catch the highlights right here on Fox 14 during Press Box at 11. The city of Columbus, Kansas is full of celebrations today. One of those celebrations is homecoming. Today, they hosted a parade down Maple Street. Members of the junior high and high school bands marched with floats. And of course, plenty of candy was tossed out to the crowd. The 54th annual Columbus Day Festival kicked off today. More than 30 activities will take place this weekend, and some already happened today. KOAM's Fernanda Silva has the story.
The hot air balloon glow lit up the skies in Columbus as the city started the celebration of Columbus Day Festival. It was a busy first day for the 3-day event. The Scarecrow contest took place in the morning, bringing to Maple Street current themes like Barbie and the reported romance between Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. Businesses, organizations, and individuals joined the competition.
We actually borrowed the mannequin from someone and they were like, yeah, sure. I mean, they didn't question it. They're really nice people around here. So being a part of it, and it's it's important for everybody to come together.
Visitors also had the chance to check an art exhibit that will be opened throughout the weekend.
An event like this is important to bring the community together and create that sense of working together and being a family and participating in different things and keeping the community alive and bringing people downtown.
The balloon regattas are scheduled to happen at 7 a.m. and at 5 p.m. on Saturday and at 7 a.m. on Sunday. But the most expected attraction depends on the weather to happen.
That's wind, fog, rain, snow, sleet, whatever, and such. So, you know, and we can't call a flight until we meet with our pilots, and that's usually about 15 minutes before we expect to do it.
According to the organizer, this is a unique experience in the 4 states area.
Reaches their interest. There's something for everyone to do. But for the balloons, so many people, you don't see hot air balloons flying around in this area.
In Columbus, Fernanda Silva, KOAM News.
There were 10 pilots as part of today's regatta. A Pittsburgh-based manufacturer let the public get an inside look at their operations. Hicks Corporation today hosted an open house of its facility. It included a tour of the facility, demonstrations, and giveaways. It's part of Manufacturing Day, a national celebration aimed at inspiring the next generation of manufacturers.
We're here to be a part of the community. You know, the manufacturing is prevalent in Pittsburgh, and just want to make sure that people can see what's behind these walls, see what opportunities we have, but also understand that you know, we're here to stay. We're here for another 60 years.
Hicks Corporation is located at East 27th Terrace in Pittsburgh. The Carl Junction Christian Church today held its biannual Caring Closet surplus sale. The community could come out and find clothing in all sizes, toys, houseware items, baby items, shoes, and more. If the selection wasn't a good enough reason for the public to turn out, each item was only 25 cents. The funds also go to a good cause to support the mission of fostering hope.
Our community is so generous that we get so many items, which is awesome. And so now we get to sell those items, which will allow us to be able to buy new socks, new underwear, new items that foster kiddos need and foster families need.
The Caring Closet surplus sale continues tomorrow. Coming up, it's National Menopause Awareness Month. We'll have 5 things to know about dealing with its challenging symptoms. It's National Menopause Awareness Month, and more than 1 million women in the U.S. experience this condition each year. Health experts say many of them don't seek treatment for symptoms. Mandy Gaither has 5 things to know about menopause and how those dealing with challenging symptoms can find relief.
It's a natural part of aging, but menopause can have a significant impact on a woman's life.
It's more than just hot flashes and night sweats. It's sleep disturbances and mood disturbances and joint aches and palpitations and vaginal dryness and pain with sex and a whole lot of other things.
Dr. Stephanie Fabian with Mayo Clinic is also the medical director of the North American Menopause Society, an organization that seeks to promote health and quality of life for women as they age. She says the first thing to know is what menopause is. It's diagnosed after a woman's gone 12 months without a period. Second, when symptoms start can vary from person to person, but menopause typically happens in a woman's 40s and 50s. The average age is 51 in the U.S. Third, the symptoms can last for years.
The mean duration of hot flashes is 7 to 9 years, and a good third of women will hot flash moderately to severely for a decade or longer.
Fourth, be aware of bone loss during this time of transition and see a doctor to monitor bone density.
Engage in regular weight-bearing exercise and have a good dietary intake of calcium, and postmenopausal women should be aiming for 1,000 milligrams of calcium per day.
Fabian says the final thing to know, there are effective treatments available for symptom relief, including hormone therapy and non-hormonal medications to treat hot flashes.
FDA-approved medication called bezolinetant, which was just approved in May.
There's a new shot that protects newborns from a serious respiratory virus, but getting it may be a struggle. The new vaccine named Befordis may not be available to some families due to insurance coverage. During clinical trials, the shot slashed infants' risk of being hospitalized by RSV by 80%, and it protects infants for about 6 months when they are most vulnerable to the virus. The new shot cost about $500 a dose. 2 new studies are suggesting RSV can cause more severe symptoms in older adults, especially if they have underlying conditions. These studies were released by the CDC. In one study, researchers looked at about 15 months of data from 25 hospitals. They found adults aged 60 and older who had RSV were hospitalized less frequently when compared to those who had the flu or COVID-19. However, those who had RSV tended to need more help to breathe. Meteorologist Sam Lane is next with a complete look at the forecast. And later, a Voice of the Chiefs Mitch Holthus previews this week's matchup against the Vikings as Patrick Mahomes takes on his quarterback's co-star, Kirk Cousins.
Well, friends, it's certainly feeling more like fall out there with temperatures falling down into the 40s, but we're not done yet. We're going to see temperatures a little bit colder as we head towards the morning hours. First, let's start out this morning at Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. And as this goes into motion, you can see we started out with mostly fair skies, but then as the afternoon progressed, we started to see some clouds rolling in from the north and west with that cold front arriving at around midday. And then those clouds have moved out since this evening. It looks like we're having a little bit of problem with the time lapse on that right now, so we'll just jump right past that. Right now, looking at temperatures, it's already down to 40 degrees in Neodesha right now, 43 in Iola for some of the coolest readings, 41 in Parsons, 43 in Pittsburgh, also in Carthage right now. Still in the 50s though, down in Jay and in Grove with light northerly winds spreading the cooler air across the area. Range line in 20th right now on the camera, looking pretty good. Traffic moving along pretty nicely. 45 in Joplin. It feels like 45 with a calm wind. But if the wind was up, it'd feel a little bit cooler out there, and the humidity at 76%. Temperatures across the region are also quite chilly, especially up to the north, where it's 40 in Rapid City and in Goodland. So you can see the cold air spilling down from the north out of Canada. And as a matter of fact, we have a frost advisory in effect for all of our area except for 2 counties, Delaware and Benton County in northwestern Arkansas. So don't be surprised if we see the frost on the windows and the grass as we head through the morning hours. You can see on the satellite view the clouds moving away from us now, and with clear skies, light winds, low dew points, that's going to allow the temperatures to really start to fall as we go into the overnight hours. You can see that clear air extends all the way up into the northern plains, and the upper airflow shows that the air is coming directly out of Canada right down into the 4 states. And so it's going to be quite chilly by the morning hours. How chilly? Well, how about mid-30s across the area? 36 in Columbus, 35 in Iola, 37 in Stockton, 35 over in Mount Vernon. So quite cool. And then as we head through the lunchtime hour, generally temperatures in the mid-50s with light north winds. And then in the afternoon, we'll jump up into the lower 60s. So still very below normal for this time of year. And then as we go into tomorrow morning, still quite cool with lows in the 40s and even a few 30s, especially up towards the north. And then Sunday afternoon, southwesterly winds take over and we start to see temperatures in the upper 60s to around 70 degrees. And then as we go into Monday morning, we're going to see lows generally in the mid 40s with northeasterly winds. And over the next 7 days, it's going to be nice for the next several days, very fall-like. And then as we head into Tuesday, a pop-up thunderstorm possible on Tuesday. Better chance of rain, I think, on Thursday into Friday with scattered thunderstorms and more rain chances, which we definitely need. But we have a real nice weekend shaping up.
Crisp, cool air today.
That's exactly right.
Here.
Exactly.
Thanks, Sam. Coming up, a big-time endorsement.
Former President Trump's endorsement of House Judiciary Chairman Jim Jordan may boost the Ohio congressman, but some Republicans believe the last thing they need is a speaker backed by Trump. I'm Mather Rivera in Washington with reaction from lawmakers coming up.
Weight loss drugs and grocery spending. Walmart says shoppers are putting less food in their shopping carts due to weight loss drugs. Fox's Jennifer Williams has more.
That's the most absurd thing I've ever heard. There's no way there's enough Ozempic to go around for Americans to stop eating. All we do is eat.
The head of Walmart's U.S. operations told Bloomberg News this week that weight loss drugs are beginning to nibble on the retail giant's food profit margins. Registered dietitian Lisa Moskovitz says the findings make complete sense.
Some people, it's not fully covered by insurance. They might be spending a lot of money out of pocket. They're going through the trouble of taking out a needle and injecting them once a week. They're committed.
Walmart analyzed anonymous data of the customers who are buying these medicines at their stores, plus what these individuals spend on groceries.
They are in a weight loss mentality. They're in a let me eat as little as possible and take advantage of this medication that is suppressing my appetite mentality. And so with that, there's going to potentially be less consumer action at restaurants.
We have a lot of regulars, so they're coming to us. They don't have the appetite anymore.
Restaurateur Sammy Musevich, who owns Sojourn and Sojourn Social on the Upper East Side, says he's had to compromise and get creative with his menus.
I'm making the portions smaller, sometimes even half of the portions. And of course, I always do the right thing, so we have to charge accordingly.
The Upper East Side recently made national headlines because while it's one of the healthiest neighborhoods in all of NYC, it also has the highest rate of injectable weight loss use in the city. And don't forget, it's also one of the most wealthiest neighborhoods.
We're getting a lot more business. We're not selling as much food as we used to, but they are having an extra, glass of wine.
Okay. Online holiday sales forecasts look good, and with it, one important factor for shoppers. An Adobe Analytics forecast says online discount prices for holiday buyers could hit record highs. The analysis estimates total online sales from November 1st through December 31st could reach $221.8 billion. Retailers could offer discounts of up to 35% for some items. Adobe Analytics says toys, electronics, and apparel will see the biggest discounts. Up next, a fan favorite Girl Scout cookie is getting dropped after only a year in rotation. Well, it's sad news if you love Girl Scout cookies. A popular flavor will not be returning next year. Girl Scout officials have announced that Raspberry Rally will not be sold when its cookie sales season kicks off in January. The Rallies were introduced last year as a sister cookie to the iconic Thin Mints. They were the first cookies to be sold exclusively online, and it led to a shopping frenzy. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. Coming up, the race to be the next Speaker of the House heats up as Donald Trump makes his endorsement. Plus, a breakthrough in negotiations between the United Auto Workers Union and automakers. Republican Congressmen Jim Jordan and Steve Scalise are working hard to convince the members of their party that they are the right man for the job of House Speaker. Jordan, however, has the endorsement of former President Donald Trump. Fox News correspondent Madeline Rivera has those details from Washington, including who else could jump in the race.
House Republicans are furiously working the phones trying to figure out who the next speaker will be. Most of what could unfold over the coming days would take place away from the halls of Congress and behind closed doors as Republicans try to rally behind a nominee. It's a tall task in a bitterly divided conference.
The problems that we have internally, they don't go away with a new speaker, but the real question the members have is how do we get things back on track?
House Majority Leader Steve Scalise is pitching himself as the leader who can best unite the party.
He's really impressive, a testimony to what it means to fight for this nation.
But Scalise doesn't have the powerful endorsement of former President Donald Trump. House Judiciary Chairman Jim Jordan has that backing, and it's winning him support from other Republicans.
If that's what the leader of our party thinks is the right thing to do, I will support that, and that's now why I'm behind Jim Jordan for Speaker.
And another Republican could run, though he has yet to formally announce.
Kevin Hern. Kevin has laid low and just made conversations, but Kevin is extremely talented.
As the House GOP prepares for a potentially contentious process, President Biden is bracing too for what may come once the next speaker is elected.
For some people, I imagine it could be easier to work with than others, but whoever the speaker is, I'll try to work with.
Hoping to avoid the drama that surrounded the speaker's race in January, Republicans aren't planning to go to the floor until they feel they have a candidate who can win. That means there's a chance we might not see a floor vote for a while. In Washington, Mather Rivera, Fox News.
President Biden's son, Hunter, is going to ask a judge to throw out his federal indictment on felony gun charges. That's according to a Thursday court filing by Hunter Biden's attorneys. They want the case dismissed because they say special counsel David Weiss was prohibited by a previous agreement from bringing the indictment. Weiss characterized that previous deal as a, quote, proposed diversion agreement. He said it wasn't signed by a court official as required and therefore never went into effect. The biggest healthcare workers' strike in American history enters its third and final day. But more could be coming if a deal isn't reached. Tens of thousands of Kaiser Permanente employees walking the picket lines from coast to coast, demanding higher wages and better staffing ratios. Kaiser says it wants to work with the union to find a solution, but claims it simply can't afford to meet all their demands. The two sides are set to meet for a new round of talks next Thursday and Friday. The auto workers' strike enters its third week. Today, the union workers president said the strike will not expand to more plants. Fox Business correspondent Grady Trimble has the latest.
We are winning. We are making progress, and we are headed in the right direction.
The United Auto Workers Union says no new strikes against the big three automakers for now.
If the big three don't continue to make progress, that time's going to be coming real soon.
The decision coming after what Union President Shawn Fain called a transformative win with General Motors. He says the car maker agreed to bring its electric battery manufacturing workers under a future labor agreement.
Our plan is winning at GM, and we expect it to win at Ford and Stellantis as well.
On Thursday, Fain goaded the automakers with this tweet depicting them as contestants on The Bachelorette. The caption says to tune into his live stream, quote, to see who gets the rose.
Our goal is to outsmart and out-organize corporate America.
Since the strike began on September 15th, the UAW has expanded it twice. GM was hit harder by the union both times. Ford was spared from the first escalation, and Stellantis dodged the second. Striking workers on the picket line say they feel like the talks have gone better this week compared to previous weeks.
I have confidence in my union leadership. I have confidence in the bargaining committee. We're not trying to cripple anybody. We're just trying to get to an agreement.
The big three automakers have laid off thousands of workers. Their suppliers have laid off thousands more. Some fear they could face bankruptcy if this strike drags on. In Wayne, Michigan, Grady Trimble, Fox Business.
Federal safety regulators are pushing to get 52 million airbags recalled because of the potential threat to motorists. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says models made by ARC Automotive and Delphi Automotive Systems could explode. Regulators say that they could severely injure or even kill a car's occupants. The potentially dangerous airbags can be found in models by the big three American automakers as well as most major foreign manufactured brands. A bit later, how the collapse of the Overwatch Esports League is impacting other esports games.
Well, we are certainly experiencing some fall-like weather out there with temperatures dropping midday with brisk north winds and temperatures now starting to fall into the upper 30s. And we're not done yet. Right now outside in Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, just outside of Seneca, Missouri, things are looking mostly fair and clear and getting quite chilly. In fact, we're looking at temperatures in the lower 40s in many locations like OL with 41, same thing in Parsons and Neodesha, 42 in Lamar and Pittsburgh, 43 in Carthage. So 40s are definitely dominant across the area with light north winds. And we're looking at Rangeline and 20th right now in Joplin, 45 degrees. Feels like 45 because the wind is calm right now, dew point at 38. And the humidity at 76%. By the way, the dew point in this kind of condition is where we kind of look for the low temperature for the night. And it's not just chilly here in the 4 states, but all the way up towards the Canadian border. And that's where this cold air is draining down from from the north. And you can see it's still in the 70s in Arkansas and still 76 balmy degrees in Dallas. But tomorrow morning, we're going to see frost across the entire area possible, with the exception of Delaware and Benton County. They escaped the frost advisory, but wouldn't be surprised to see some of the sheltered valleys get a little bit of frost as well. Radar's all clear. We do have the clouds moving out of the area this afternoon and evening. Those are moving to the south. A little bit wider view shows those clouds with that frontal system moving through Oklahoma and Arkansas right now. But it's clear sailing all the way up to the north into Canada, and that's where that cold air is draining down right into our area. And that cold air is going to be with us tonight and then again tomorrow night. Temperatures tomorrow morning as you head out, we're looking at lows in the 30s, mid-30s across most of the area with light and variable winds. Maybe some lower 30s in some sheltered valleys, wouldn't be surprised. And then as we head through the afternoon, we're going to see temperatures around 55 degrees at around lunchtime with light and variable winds. Then in the afternoon, temperatures rebounding into the low 60s. So quite cool day. You're going to need the jacket out there. And then as we head into Sunday morning, lows not quite as chilly, but still 30s north, 40s to the south, with the winds turning around to the southwest. And then in the afternoon, we'll see readings in the upper 60s to lower 70s across the area under bright sunny skies. And then as we go into Monday, another shot of reinforcing cool air. We'll see lows in the 40s across the area. And over the next 7 days, we're expecting 71 on Sunday and then 69 nice degrees on Monday. And then the clouds increase on Tuesday with maybe a 20% of a chance of a shower, but a better chance of rain, I think, on Thursday and Friday. And then next weekend also looks quite cool around here with highs in the 60s and lows once again dropping down into the 30s. So looks like sweater weather is here to stay for a while.
It certainly appears that way. It was almost shockingly cold.
Yeah.
Just because I feel like we were so used to, the extreme heat, and I feel like the first time it's all like it gets cold.
Exactly. It's kind of a shock to your system. Yep.
Right. Thanks, Sam. Well, don't forget, you can be the first to know about the day's weather with the KOAM Skywatch weather app. Get severe weather updates sent straight to your phone free of charge. It's available in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store, the KOAM Skywatch weather app. Millions of people around the world have been forced out of their homes because of extreme weather conditions. Many of those include children. Fox News correspondent Jackie Ibanez has more on a new report by the United Nations that says the number of kids displaced from climate disasters could increase in the future.
An average of 20,000 children a day have been forced out of their homes because of extreme weather. This according to the latest data from the United Nations that recorded the displacements between 2016 and 2021. The report claims the effects of droughts, floods, and fires are leaving many children without homes.
The children get disturbed. Their life gets disturbed.
The UN says the crisis could worsen because climate change is fueling extreme weather events.
It is increasing the severity, the frequency of these disasters, so the number of child displacements is likely to be far greater in the future.
The organization projects that within the next 30 years, more than 113 million children could be uprooted from their homes. Kids in India and China have been displaced more than 19 million times because of flooding.
Half of my books got swept away in the floods.
While those in the U.S. and Canada have had to face wildfire effects more than 800,000 times.
So in the aftermath of a disaster, they might experience mental or physical stress from seeing their homes destroyed, their communities destroyed.
When these weather events force kids from their homes, advocates say they become vulnerable to other health and safety risks.
Children may become separated from their parents or their caregivers, which expose them to risks of trafficking, exploitation, abuse, violence.
While world leaders can't stop weather disasters, the UN is calling on governments to create education and healthcare services that can be provided to those on the move. Jackie Ibanez, Fox News.
Coming up in sports, Baxter Springs and Frontenac headline this week's Friday night football action. Plus, Missouri Southern and Pitt State football return home this Saturday. John Dales has those stories and more after the break.
It's going by quickly, but we're now more than halfway through the high school football season here in the 4 states. Tonight is week 6 of Press Box here on Fox 14. We got a bunch of really exciting games to bring you. The highlights from in just over an hour. Our game of the week features this team, Baxter Springs, back at home against Frontenac. Each of them are 4-1. Both teams' only loss has come to an undefeated team. The Lions fell to Parsons a couple weeks ago. The Raiders opened the season with a loss to Colgan. Big battle in the Big 8 as well between Nevada and Lamar over in Oklahoma. Wyandotte tries to stay undefeated. Myself and Brock Baldridge have highlights from those games and more at 11. Week 6 of the college football season begins tomorrow afternoon. Third-ranked Pittsburgh State back at home at Kearney Smith Stadium. One of the biggest challenges of the year for the Gorillas as number 20 Emporia State comes to town. Now, a year ago, the Gorillas won in Emporia 14-13 with an 8-minute drive to close it out. This contest, a little bit different. The Hornets coming in a little bit angry. They had a perfect season and were just outside the top 10 before losing to Missouri Western a week ago. Kickoff at 2. Stay locked on my Twitter and Facebook for updates throughout the day. Meanwhile, Missouri Southern trying to bounce back from a tough loss last week as well. The Lions dropped their second contest of the season on the last play of the game at Central Oklahoma. Tomorrow, they play host to Fort Hays State. Tigers are also 3-2. However, that may be deceiving. Their 2 losses have come to PSU and Missouri Western. Just a week ago, Hayes beat Lincoln 71-3. They also took down Northwest Missouri, who began the season by beating the Lions in Joplin. Brock Baldridge has the coverage from Fred G. Hughes Stadium all afternoon tomorrow. Then over to the NFL, the Chiefs are 3-1, most recently beating the Jets on Sunday night. They travel to Minnesota this week, which means this is a battle of 2 starting QBs that are also Netflix stars. More on that with this week's Minute with Mitch.
I wish I had a Hy-Vee gift card for every time I was asked if I saw the Netflix quarterback series this summer. Yes, I watched it. Not just for the entertainment value, I watched it for the nuances, the little things that add up to big things in the NFL. One major conclusion after watching the series is that Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes is an astronaut, and he's surrounded by the NFL version of NASA scientists. Mahomes is always in communication with Coach Reid, Matt Nagy, offensive coordinator, David Girardi, quarterback's coach, and others, including his relentless personal trainer, who Patrick has known since 4th grade. Did you notice how many times Kirk Cousins came off the field and no one talked to him? I have no idea what was going on with Marcus Mariota, but this week Patrick Mahomes is headed to the Twin Cities. Maybe he'll take a rocket on this Minute with Mitch. The Minute with Mitch is brought to you by Como Jewelry. Every day's game day, Como Jewelry, Pittsburgh, Joplin.
That's all for sports. Back with more news after this.
The gaming world is still reeling from the apparent implosion of the Overwatch League, one of the most popular esports leagues and a product of Activision Blizzard, which is currently in the process of being acquired by Microsoft. Fox's Eamon Dignam has more in this edition of our Fox on Tech series.
It's been an honor, a privilege, and a joy to share this experience with all of you. Thank you so much.
The Overwatch League will, at the very least, be very different next year, if it's even around at all. During the 2023 Grand Finals, where the Florida Mayhem won against the Houston Outlaws in Toronto, caster Zoe Gershwin made it seem like it was the end of the league in an emotional goodbye.
You all made this so much more than just a competition. This was not just a show, all right? This was a shared dream that was uniting us across borders, languages, and differences.
Officials then announcing they're doing a reformat of the league. The original plan was to create the first location-based franchise teams, similar to traditional sports. But as they were ramping up in-person games, COVID hit, sending us and the international competitors into lockdown and moving the competitions online. Earlier this year, Activision Blizzard started to allow teams to back out of ownership, signaling a major change in the league. But there was no indication it would be this drastic. And there's also no word yet on the upcoming season of the Call of Duty League, Overwatch's sister esport, also run by Activision Blizzard. For this story and more, check out the Fox on Tech podcast every weekend. In New York, Eamon Dignam, Fox News.
Coming up, we'll check out a new horror comedy movie arriving just in time for Halloween. A horror movie mashup is part of a new viewing option at home with Total Killer. The Blumhouse Television and Amazon production premieres on Prime Video this week. We have a preview with Fox's Ashley Dvorkin.
It's not 1987 anymore.
Time travel horror comedy Totally Killer centers on a teen who goes back to the 80s, teaming up with her mom to take down a killer.
For this mashup, for you, what were a couple of the biggest things that you wanted this film to bring to the horror genre that was different, something new?
The main thing was having this sort of young woman at the center of this movie. And, you know, in the horror slasher genres, the young women are like always kind of hunted. And so is Jamie, Kiernan Shipka's character, and these other women, because there is a killer out and he's, you know, killing young women. But she's the one driving the story. So she's actually hunting him.
On the sci-fi side, director Nahnatchka Khan says filmmakers thought of what they'd say if they could time travel to 1987.
I can say, have you seen Back to the Future? And so using our kind of media entertainment like touchstones as like a way to kind of cut through what we don't know.
Khan has a full comedic resume, including Always Be My Maybe, and shares fun ads of venturing into horror.
I wanted to have as much practical effects as possible, enhancing it with visual effects in post, but really getting as much blood work as we can, the fight sequences, you know, really kind of getting in there, making it feel real.
She notes her horror faves as a fan and ones which inspire her as a director.
The first two Conjurings, I think, are masterpieces, but then also the offshoots like Annabelle Comes Home. And then, yeah, I mean, there's influences from the classic slashers, you know, from Friday the 13th. I mean, obviously Scream is a big influence, which was like 90s, but still the original Halloween was big.
Totally Killer premieres on Prime Video October 6th. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
That's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We'll leave you with a video of baby elephant twins at a New York zoo. Thanks for making us part of your night.